Greetings F11 members and welcome to issue 31, the August 2014 edition of the Chasing the Light online magazine. And this month in the fundamentals of post-production video tutorials, I'd like to take you right back to square one and talk about how we import and make selections when editing our pictures. So the other morning I was out on Bullbarrow Hill at dawn shooting, looking down on the Blackmore Vale here in Dorset. Particularly beautiful morning, a good session, and I was lucky enough to have some horses wandering into the frame, into my foreground. So I've come back and copied all the raw images off my memory card into a folder onto my computer, and now what I'm going to do is import them into Lightroom. But before I do, I thought I'd just show you how we can ensure that images are tagged with your important copyright and creative information as they're imported, and that information will henceforth be forever embedded in that picture. So if I go to import, and it comes up with this tag with this particular panel, and you'll see here there's this section here called apply during import, and it says metadata, and I've got what's called here DNP, David Noton Photography. That is a preset that I have made. Now you may not have done this yet, so if you want to make a preset to be embedded in all your pictures as they're imported, click on edit presets and it'll come up with this preset panel where you can put your own information in there, creator, copyright, whatever you like. You could create your address, phone number, email, whatever. If you go to basically mine here, DNP, you'll see what I've put in: just the copyright, the creator information, my website, my name, and that's essentially it. Could put address and stuff in there, but those things change with time, or can do, so I've left them blank. This is the important stuff. Okay, so I'm going to click on done, and now I'm going to import my images from the shoot. So I find the folder that they're in, and they're in a folder called images, and a subfolder called edit, and a subfolder called July 2014, and Bullbarrow. So if I click on Bullbarrow, there are my images ready to be imported. So now we're going to bring them in, and I click on import and we wait a few minutes as they're coming in. The status bar tells us the progress, and then here they are. They're now in Lightroom, and there is the Bullbarrow folder coming up there. I need to just give it a few minutes. You can see these white dots here showing how when the images have been cached. So I'll just give it a second, of a minute or so, put the kettle on and let Lightroom catch up with all that before I start making my selections. So it's time to start narrowing down the shoot and picking the images that I want to keep and work on, and it's all about getting rid of the dross. There's simply no point in working on lots of similar images. It's a waste of time. You just want to work on the handful of images that have worked best. It's all about looking at sequences of pictures, and if you look at the start of the shoot here, I had these horses in my foreground, and I've got a definite sequence of images starting here which run from there to there. Now I don't want to work on all of those pictures. I want the one best image from that sequence. Now to help me make my selects, I'm looking at the shoot in what's called grid mode here. I've got this grid mode selection made here, and I can see the images of thumbnails, but of course that's not really going to help me make a selection. I can double click on the picture to see it up big, which helps me choose, but of course I want to be able to compare it to the next picture alongside it. I can click from one to the image of the other, of course, but what really helps is to see them alongside, relatively large, so I can choose the best. So what I'm going to do is choose these two here, select these two, and now go to the survey mode, viewing mode, and by just hitting the N on the keyboard, it brings those two images up big enough to judge side by side. And actually I can do this with as many pictures as I like. So I'm going to click the first, let's go here, the first 4 images there to decide which of those 4 I want to keep. And it's all about really the horse movement. You know, it's relatively slow shutter speeds, as you can see here, 2.5 seconds indicated up here. And sometimes the horse movement is quite appealing, and other times you end up with a headless horse, such as this one here. So I'm going to actually rule that one out of the equation, just close it down. And now really this is a totally subjective call, but I'd say this one is the one that I like best of this particular sequence, so I'm going to flag it. And you can see down here, bottom left corner, there are the 2 flags that enable me to either reject the image or select it as a pick. I'm going to select it, and there it is. Okay, now I can close down the other 2 images and move on to looking at the next sequence of images. So to get back to grid mode, I can either just click on that icon down there, the grid mode icon, or I can hit the G on the keyboard. It takes me back to grid mode. There we go. And so I'm going to look at the next sequence of images here, and again select the similars and look at them alongside in survey mode. And this is really the sort of logical progression that I go through to help me make my selections. Comparing 2 pictures and keeping only the best. 2 or more pictures, I should say. Go to survey mode and decide on which is the one I want to keep. So from this sequence I've picked this image here. It's too dark, but I may need to use this image, the sky from this image, because the sky on this one, my chosen image, is starting to burn out. So a little bit, I'm going to keep this one to give me options if I need to exposure merge. I think this is the best one from this sequence, but now I'm just going to go back to normal library mode here, so go back to there, and of course at this stage I just want to look at this image and just check it's sharp. So double click on it to take it up to full screen mode, and then click again, and I'm looking at it at 100% magnification, and sure enough, thankfully, it is sharp. There's a little bit of movement on the horses, but that's all part of the image. Everything else is nice and sharp, so that's great. Now I've marked this as a pick, this image here, but I could of course choose to give it a rating here using the star system, or color code it. Star system could be quite useful. I don't tend to use it. I either think an image is a keeper or I'm going to get rid of it. Giving it a star system means that at the moment I may think it's, say, a 4 out of 5 shot, but a few months time that will inevitably have changed. So I don't find that system that useful, but each to their own. So I'm working through the shoot. I come to my next sequence, and let's just choose those, and if I choose all of them and now go to hit N, I go into survey mode and I see them all as thumbnails, and I start weeding out the ones that don't make the cut. That's a confused sort of arrangement of horses there, so let's get rid of those. And so I keep on working and narrowing down my options. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with this particular sequence. It looks like a strong shot that's possible here. The sky is of course burning out, or appears to be burning out in the raw, but I'm pretty confident I can bring some of that back, or virtually all of it back, and go to create quite a dramatic image. I think what makes the shot work is this particular strong shape of this black horse. And the body shape of this particular frame here is the one that I find the most appealing. So I'm going to click that as a flagger's pick and move on. So with this sequence of images, I've chosen these two images, and if I now go back into survey mode, this is the one I can use the sky from this image and bring it together with the landscape and the horses from this frame, and I think that will be quite a strong shot. So that in a nutshell is how I work through a shoot, narrowing down my options. From any shoot like this, I'd really think of coming away with just a handful of pictures. Just processing loads and loads of pictures is just, well, who's got time for it? So in part 2 of this fundamentals of post-production video tutorial, I'm going to process this image and merge these two exposures. See you there.